We're going to head back to a simpler, happier time during the witch trials and the Great Plague. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And today we're going to talk about a brand new film that just dropped on VOD on Friday, and that film is called The Reckoning. I just watched this last night on Apple iTunes, and the reason why I was so interested in seeing this film as quickly as I could is it's co-written and directed by Neil Marshall. I am a huge fan of Neil Marshall ever since I saw his little werewolf film called Dog Soldiers. If you've never seen it, check that movie out. It's one of my favorite werewolf movies of all time, definitely top 5. And then he went on to do The Descent, which is an excellent horror film. Then he did a movie called Doomsday, which I'm going to review within the next couple of weeks. I love that film for how fun it is. It's a mismatch of different films like Escape from New York, 20 Days Later, and Excalibur. That sounds batshit crazy to you. That's because it is, but it's fun as hell. Then he did a little movie called Centurion, which I also enjoy a lot. And he did the new Hellboy film, which I actually enjoyed Hellboy. I know it got a lot of shit. I don't think it's great, but I had fun with that film for what it was. I'll review that sometime down the line too. So I was excited to see what Neil Marshall had for us. And I knew it was about the witch trials back in the 1600s in England, and it was set around the Great Plague at this time. Now, he co-wrote this film with the main actress in this film. Charlotte Kirk plays Grace Haverstock in this film, and Sean Pertwee plays John Moorcroft. He plays a witch finder. Now, this is his third collaboration with Neil Marshall. He was in Dog Soldiers, and he was also in Doomsday. So this is the third time they've worked together. And this film is set around the Great Plague in 1665 England and the witch trials. And I'm not going to spoil this film since it's brand new. Grace has a little baby girl, and her husband just committed suicide, we find out in the beginning of the film. He hung himself. I'm not going to get into why. You'll have to see the film to find out. And her landlord is threatening to evict her from her house. It's out in the country. They have land that they farm. But her landlord also wants Grace herself. He likes her. He thinks she's an attractive woman. So he's making advances on her, and she pushes him off and says, she kind of gives him 2 rings and said, that should hold me off for at least 6 months. But he's pissed because she kind of made a fool out of him. So he goes back to town and starts a rumor that she's a witch. Well, this gets the attention of the witch finder, John Moorcroft, who has an assistant who he burned as a witch, and the rain came and put it out. So he considers her saved by God, and she's all burnt and scarred. But she works with him thinking that she's one of God's disciples. So they come, and there's these trials to get Grace to try to admit that she's a witch. And Grace knows enough about what's been going on, and she's going to die no matter what she does. If she admits to it, they're going to kill her. And if she doesn't admit to it, they're going to kill her anyway. And as the film goes on, we see her getting tortured in various ways just to get her to repent her sins, that she's in league with the devil, blah, blah. But we know all this. If you know a little bit about that period in time, I mean, we had our witch trials, Salem witch trials here as well. So it happened in America as well. But Grace won't give in. And this sets up towards what happens towards the end of the film. I don't want to give anything away, but this movie is basically a character study on Grace, what she has to go through and try to get past to get her daughter back and, regain her life. And there's some twists and turns along the way. I want to be vague because I don't want to give any spoilers. This movie just dropped on Friday. Now, I will say, as most Neil Marshall films, I think this film was pretty well shot. I know it was a lower budgeted film for Neil Marshall. Not that he hasn't worked in lower budgeted before, but it's, it was a lower budgeted film. But I think the sets look convincing. I thought they were nicely done. There's some gore moments for sure that you would expect from a Neil Marshall film. Some impressive gore moments, I got to say. It's not a bloodbath like some of his other films, but there are moments of gore. This movie is unrated. I don't know why, though. Maybe they just didn't send it to the ratings board because it's no gorier than any other R-rated film. There's a little bit of nudity in that, but I didn't think it was anything to warrant going unrated. But they went unrated. And this movie's an hour and 50 minutes long, which that's probably one of my drawbacks of this film. I think it's a little too long for what we're doing here. I think there could have been 10 minutes shaved off this film, and you wouldn't have missed those 10 minutes. It's a slow burn for sure. And there is this really isn't a horror film per se. There is horrific images. Like Charlotte sees images of the devil, and the makeup on this guy who plays the devil, whoever is in the devil makeup's spectacular. And so during the film, they kind of play with us thinking that maybe she is a witch. But that's not what this film is doing. But there is some horrific imagery. I had some questions why some of the images she was seeing, even before she got put in this awful jail, why she was seeing them. They don't really tell you why. I assume because of the trauma she's going through, and everybody keeps telling her she's in league with the devil. She's just imagining it. But they never go into that really, and it keeps happening over and over again. I thought it got a little repetitive through the middle part of the film. But I got to say, once Sean Pertwee's John Moorcroft shows up, he is fantastic in this film. Charlotte Kirk's really good as well. This is the first thing I've ever seen her in. And she's really good in the film, I thought. She pulled her role off really well. Everybody else in the film is really good, too. I just think the film's a little too long for what they're trying to do here. I swear they could shave off 10 minutes and you won't even miss it. Because I think it's a little repetitive through the middle of the film. I know why we're spending so much time. I know why he did it, Neil Marshall, because he also edited his film. But honestly, since it's a slow burn and, there's a little bit of action in the beginning and in the last 10, 15 minutes there's some action. But I just feel like the middle part of it drags too much for the story he's trying to tell. But I still enjoyed this film. It's not the greatest thing. I don't think it's definitely not Neil Marshall's best film, but I enjoyed it enough to recommend it, checking it out. I would definitely recommend renting this film when it's available I think it's available to rent now, actually. I bought it. I'll watch it again somewhere down the line. I don't think the rewatchability for this film is there, not like Neil Marshall's other films, but I still enjoyed it enough. I would give it a 6.75 out of 10. It's nowhere near in the league of Dog Soldiers or The Descent, but it's a decent little flick about the witch, the witch finder and the plague around that time in England. So yeah, I'd recommend checking out if you see it. I think it's going to be in Shudder later this year as well. So if you have Shudder, you can wait for it to drop on there. But I wouldn't rush out to buy it. I can't recommend that. But definitely I would recommend checking it out, especially if you're a fan of Neil Marshall. I think it's nicely shot. The actors are doing really good here. And there's some really cool gore moments. And the story is... I was interested in the story. I just think it went on too long. I think the middle section could have lost 10 minutes. It got a little repetitive for the story they were trying to tell. But other than that, 6.75 out of 10 for The Reckoning. Have you seen this yet? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back later in the week with another review. Until then, I hope you're all doing well out there. And I'll leave you with bye.